What is up, you guys? We are here for our new moon workshop, our new moon in Pisces. It's actually happening tomorrow, but I decided to just go on and film it tonight and swap out our weekly manifestation message, since the manifestation message is built in into the lunation reading anyway. So, interesting thing. So, according to the Gregorian calendar, we have our new moon in Pisces. So, this is the last new moon of our elemental year. So, there's this culminating and completion happening that's sending us right into the beginning of our new year. Well, interestingly enough, according to the Jewish lunar calendar, this is actually the new moon of Nisan, which is Aries, the seed level of the year. So this is actually an ending and a beginning, which kind of feels right, because there is this feeling like we are being launched into a new start, even though we are very much wrapping up what we just finished. And so there's this aspect of, there's like so much water and so many planets right now in Pisces and so many things going on in Pisces. And one of the things that is definitive of Pisces is that this is the last zodiac sign. So it's the ending, it's the completion. It is the cleansing and the purge. It is letting go and releasing. It is surrender. It is allowing, right? But we're not holding on and clinging to old, outdated things. We're releasing. We're letting those things go. And I think that we're more ready to do that than ever. I know for myself, I think I feel like I can sense my growth when I look back a couple of months ago. Like any given time, like when I try to like take the temperature on who I am in this moment, and I think back to like even a few months ago, it's like it's such a drastic difference. And so I think that for me personally, I am past the point of being able to suffer a fool or pacify a liar or put up with bullshit without calling it out. Like, it is just like this switch where it is just like I have gone from my old self to this new sort of force of nature. And I'm sure that you all are feeling it too, to some degree, because what is Aries? It's the head of the year. It's the birth of the zodiac, and it is like, it represents our self-identity, our identity of self. So the old timeline, you know, what we've been talking about and dismantling and shifting out of is come to its completion for real. And now we are entering into this new world. And this phrase, there is a Hebrew phrase, I wrote it down the other day, mati vala mati. And what that means is that you are in the in-between. That the end of one cycle has come to its completion and you are in the beginning of the next phase, but there's this space in between, this portal, this transitional period, and you're neither here nor there yet. And that space, that sort of moment, is called mati vala mati. And that's where we're at right now. And it feels like things could just happen any minute. But I don't know about you guys, but I feel very much like reality it's like moving, but like I am on pause within reality or something. Like I'm going about my day and doing things, but it just like something about it, like nothing feels real. I'm not emotionally attached to anything. It just feels like, you know, when you're kind of in a dream state or whatever. Obviously, like Pisces is that watery, dreamy nature. And so it's very interesting as we get closer to Aries season, I can feel myself coming back to life. and I'm in Aries, right? So once we start getting to that Aries season, I'm like, oh, I'm all like, I'm all pumped up and charged up. I'm even getting like color back in my face, just even having gone outside a little bit. And like, I'm like literally flushed right now because the fire is returning. But this deluge, it feels like this like emotional sort of like a, like a bog. Like, I feel like I'm in an emotional bog or something right now. And I think it's just that water just bringing everything to the surface and rushing through. Have you ever lived in an area that has gone through a flash flood? And everything is so crazy when it's happening. And it's like, kind of like, if you're not in an immediate, like, path of destruction, just all the water rising around you and everything being so weird. And it's kind of exciting. It's kind of weird and ethereal. It's like ethereal is not the word, but like not exactly abstract. What is the word where it's like surreal? That's what it is. Surreal. It's so weird. And so there's like something about it that's sort of like got its own magic, even though it seems to pose a threat, right? It seems to be washing away and possibly destructive, right? But there's something about it where you just feel like, well, I can't do anything about it. You can't stop a flash flood, so you're just like totally surrendered. And then once the water goes away, things have been flushed away and washed down, but there's like all this debris left, and there's like all this stuff that was just washed up and left. And I feel like the process that we've been going through, like maybe over the last year, especially over the last few months, I think that's been like the flash flood pushing through. And I think that we are kind of in that phase now where it just feels like we've been left with all this residue, and we're just like, gosh, we need to clean this up. We need to pick up all this debris and residue, and we need to purge and cleanse. And so somebody was talking about how if the vibe of Virgo is like cleaning out your closets and organizing the house, that Pisces would be the part of you that throws things away and donates things, like getting rid of the things that are no longer true to you anymore or in alignment with you anymore. And that might be attitudes or habits or literal physical items. I know like there's been something in me recently that's just been like, a lot of times I'm fairly frugal and practical, and sometimes I'll use something for years until it's like absolutely like dysfunctional. But recently I've just been like, you know what, I'll replace this. I need to freshen things up. And I think that's indication that there's something big birthing through that's coming, it's birthing a new life. And it's like our spiritual nesting instincts are starting to kick in, and we're starting to prepare for new energy coming in, even in just like physical mundane ways. Like recently I've just been like craving, like I'm just dying to have a set of new like linen sheets, and just, I don't know, everything just feels like I want to change, and new things and new colors around and all of that. And so there is, though, something that we should be aware of. I took notes because I listened to a whole lot of different astrologers. So sometimes I'll bring notes from the things that I picked up that they've been talking about. So there is a Pisces, we're Pisces new moon right now, sextiled with Uranus. So sextiling Uranus. And it's got a very innovative energy. Like even though we're in the completion and the culmination and we're wrapping things up, it still feels like that innovation is coming from the sextile with Uranus, which a sextile is like a favorable aspect. It's like the two energies are working together and enhancing one another. Like sexy, sextile, right? They're working together and they're grooving, right? So if we have the, in the Jewish calendar, if this is the Aries new moon, plus there's that sextile with Uranus, it's like innovative and new and fresh energy, which is great for me because I feel like now I get 2 new moons, the one in April and the one now. So then there is also a Venus-Jupiter square, and Pisces, which exalts Pisces. So the Jupiter-Venus square is like kind of amplifying all of that sort of like desire for Venus themes, security, beauty, relationship, like relating to other, craving things and substances and all of this stuff. We kind of want this all coming to us now, where it's like I know I've been craving things in general, but it's because there's Jupiter in Cancer, Mars in Pisces, Mercury retrograde, and the moon in Pisces is aligned with the sun. And Venus in Aries is squaring Jupiter in Cancer. So the Venus in Aries squaring Jupiter in Cancer, there was a specific warning that came with this. And it was like, if you're feeling like you're like longing for things, like hungry for things, craving things, like don't go off and make any impulse purchases. And I like, for example, there are like certain items, fashion items, the linen sheets, like there are just things right now that I am like having such a craving for, and it's really hard to resist this, but try not to do anything impulsive right now, because this is the test, right? When we can rise above the pull and influence of the planets, then that it's like an act of sovereignty. It's like we're claiming our own free will and energy. The more we evolve and the more that we do the soul correction and reveal the light of our soul, the less affected we are by astrology. Or we could be affected by it, but it's not like it's not like the average person that they are kind of like totally being tossed around by the energies and they're unaware of it, or they don't realize that they can intentionally navigate through them, or like practice restraint and restriction to get through those influences rather than cave into those temptations. So if you can withstand a shopping splurge right now, I would suggest it, especially if you've just got a tax return. Try to let it sit in your bank account for as long as you can. Because you know what? Sometimes for some of us, and I know I'm this way, we all are this way, our nervous system it gets used to the amount of money that we're used to having, or that we perceive that we deserve, or that we perceive that we are worth, or that we can handle. And so if we haven't trained our nervous system to be able to feel comfortable and familiar with having more money can come to us, but then we'll just spend it. Or like, even if we like kind of white knuckle our way through it, we're like, I didn't spend it. Like somehow we will manifest like some kind of an expensive event happening that costs, that money. So preparing yourself and sort of like training yourself to be able to have more money without thinking or feeling like it's burning a hole in your pocket, or without falling into the temptation of impulse purchases, right? Or like if you're in an industry like me where it's like more flexible and it's like gig work, or you're working shifts, sometimes it gets tempting to like take days off. And sometimes in my field, like if we don't have the guest count coming through the doors, like it doesn't matter. Like yesterday I had to take a cut and it was against it wasn't my choice, right? But there are times where, like even today, I was just feeling like, I'm not in the mood. I'd rather like stay home and do this workshop instead of going to work and doing it after work. But I was like, no, I can't fall into the temptation, because then you're losing money by not working, right? So staying on track. Don't let the adversary sort of sneak in and take what you've been working towards and trying to build. All right. So Pisces, we are reflecting. We are almost out of this Pisces sun season, but now we have the Pisces influence of this new moon that's planting that seed for the month. So still going to be reflecting, but I think that we're going to feel a lot more fiery. I think we're finally coming out of the deluge, the waters, the murky waters of Pisces. I think we're getting more clarity. I think that we're seeing too, like, in our visions and dreams and our imagination, I think we're getting more clarity about what we want and what it's going to take to attain that thing. And we're really, like, not really being caught up in, like, the glitter of the distractions, right? We're like, this isn't really serving me. This isn't really helping me. I don't really need to do this. Like, it's not that appealing. It's not going to get me anywhere. So those kinds of things that aren't bringing true joy, that aren't lighting you up, that are just like, well, I used to do this, but I'm not really that into it anymore. Then, like, maybe that's part of the fat that needs to be trimmed, right? There was this membership site that I had for a long time that I was a member of, and it's called To Be Magnetic. And it's like manifesting workshops, and you're also like working with your neuroplasticity, and it's a lot of like getting into workshops and doing a lot of journaling, and there's like these prompts, and there's like these like meditations involved. And I was convinced that it was like good work, and I'm not against it or anything, but it just wasn't really doing it for me. And this last year, like, I didn't make an effort to do any of that work, and I wasn't really missing it, and it was like $20 a month. I'm like, I don't need to do this. And so I just didn't renew it, and I haven't regretted it, and I could jump back on it any time, I guess, but it just wasn't, it was just costing me money. It was like a psychic weight on my head, like, oh, I need to get in there, and I need to do the exercises, and I need to do this workshop, and all this stuff. And it just wasn't like really helping me that much, because I was like, for all the time I'm spending doing this workshop to help me correct what's in my nervous system that's preventing me from like being successful, I could just take that time and like do the work, like the literal work, So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, if you have, for instance, if you are like, you have Netflix or something like that, and you're like, wow, there's not any single show that I'm like into on this platform right now. Maybe it's one of the others, and you're just like, like, maybe let it go, right? Free up your time, free up your resources, right? I'm just throwing some ideas out there. If you have like a gym membership, like, start using it, or maybe consider, maybe you don't need it. I work out at home. Like, I like doing stuff outside, so that's not something that I do. But you know what? Like, how about this one? Being like kind of obsessed with a crush that's basically just ruminating in limerence, and there's not anything happening with that person. All the mental space and the time and the energy you can take back, and you can catch yourself when you're like being limerent over a crush, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I need to redirect my focus, right? And I even had this happen recently. It was like, I have this crush on an actor, and he's in my 2 favorite shows, and he is on Instagram. So I was like, I was watching the show, a couple of shows that he's on. I was like, I'm gonna look him up on IMDb. So then I looked him up on IMDb, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, he was a grip and electric, and he did camera department. I was like, oh, interesting, fellow crew person. And then I was like, I wonder if he's on Instagram. So I found him on Instagram, and I followed him, and like, I don't know, I kind of interacted with some of his posts. He doesn't post a lot, and I noticed that we had about the same amount of followers, and I was like, hey, this guy may not be completely like, out of range. And he actually started showing up and watching my stories. Like, and it wasn't like every time I would interact with him, so it wasn't just like on an auto trigger, because I was like, maybe this is just set up through mini chat or whatever. But it wasn't. It was just like random. And I was like, oh my gosh, how exciting. But then, like, even in I was like, I'm trying to have a crush. I'm trying to have something fun. But I could only like really carry that delusion for a few hours before I was like, I mean, what are the odds? Like, even if he is like, oh wow, she's Everything I've ever wanted and more. What a gal. Like, do I want to be in a long distance relationship going back and forth across the country? No. And do I want to end up in the West Coast eventually? No. So it's like those kinds of things. It's like before I might like, I don't know, get all like heart eyes about this dude and like think about him too much, you know, and like for what, you know, and it like, it seems harmless, but you think about it and you're like, wow, I've been looking at this person's information about this person and like, you know, a little bit, not like I'm stalking him, you know what I mean? Like looking at their posts and finding out little things about them. It's like, that takes time. It sucks time out of the day. Time you need to be doing something else, right? To like build something real and not just a waste of your energy and emotion, right? But if you have a history of ruminating and limerence and maladaptive imagining and, you know, if you have a history of just like having these crushes that really hang on you for a long time and grip you, like I have in my past, then you realize that what seems like an innocent crush can sometimes rob you of years. Like I liked this guy for like probably 12 or 13 years who I was friends with. And I had been in relationships and he'd been in relationships and it'd come and go. And it's like there was a part of me that always thought, oh, maybe it's just because the timing wasn't right or whatever. And there was like this place, this like energy that was stuck holding on to some imagination that it was like, one day the stars will align and the circumstances will be right and then we'll have our shot. And then it became like brutally clear to me that I was the only person in that energy thinking in that way. He was just enjoying, you know, the flirtation for that many years. He was just enjoying the attention. Like he never had any intention of pursuing a relationship together. You know, he was just there for the good time if it, you know, when and if, you know, it happened like that. So I woke up from that and then it seems like you want to kind of go back to having that, because like when you have a crush on someone or when you like someone, it's like a little bit of like love heroin. Like it gives you this dopamine, but it's fake. It's an illusion. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't go anywhere. I even had this dude who I would run into out in the forest sometimes. And I had a crush on him and we had only ever met we'd crossed paths in the forest and we had all this stuff in common and except for our politics, and he was like a very like conservative Christian type and I worried that he would be too prudish and too uptight for me. And as it turns out, he was like a freaking church lady. But all this time, there was like a 2-year, 3-year period where he was like writing all this like poetry about me and like publishing it on his website and like paintings of me that looked suspiciously like me and leaving me like effigies and things all over the forest where I would find them and like making and carving these little things and leaving them. And I knew it was him. Like it wasn't hard to figure out. And this went on for like 2 or 3 years and then nothing ever came of it. And he kind of like, from his poetry, it was like he was like scourging me for like my, like calling me a witch and all this stuff. And he sounded like someone from the Inquisition. And then he ended up dating this yoga teacher who I guess turned him into an Etsy witch anyway. And so now he's like, we have a for-profit business. And I'm like, wow. So like you have no integrity. And then you ended up like, you know what I mean? All this time you were like, it's just breadcrumbing, right? So seeing through these things, these habits that are so alluring, right? This is so exciting, so romantic. And it meant nothing. So like getting through the illusion, cutting through habits that do not serve you, that do not push the needle forward, that do not get you where you want to be. It's like we're seeing through it and we don't even have a taste for it anymore. I used to smoke cigarettes. I wasn't like a smoker where I would like be like a regular smoker and need to go out for a smoke break and I would need to like go back buy a pack of cigarettes. I mean, I'd have them around sometimes, and if I was like dating someone who's a smoker, I would smoke more often. But I did get to a point where I was like, this is bad for my beauty. This is bad for my health. It's bad for my mouth. Like, it smells bad. Like, it's a bad habit and it's costly, you know. The best thing about it was that I would go out and sit on the porch and think and look at the outside. And it was nice to have excuse to go out on the porch a lot. But when I was like over the habit, and it was a little bit of a habit, I was just like, you know what? Because like you may not buy cigarettes, but then if you go out with your friends and you go out and have a few drinks and you're used to smoking, then you're starting to crave cigarettes when you smoke, and then you feel like shit. And so it's like, okay, I started praying that God would give me a repulsion to the taste of cigarettes, to the smell of cigarettes, that I would be completely turned off by them, that I wouldn't crave them. I would, more than that, I would be like, ugh, gross. And sure enough, honey, ask and it is given. Knock and you shall receive. Like, when it comes to good things, like things that aren't selfish, and especially if they have to do with things involving the understanding the Torah or the kingdom of heaven, or helping you do something that's going to be good for your life or good for your body, you know, then God will help you do that. And like, I can't even, like, if I smell someone who's been smoking, it gives me an instant headache. Like, it's just like, ugh, like, it's so gross. And I used to love it. I used to be like, you know, kind of a European about it, just like, you know, when the moment's right. And it was very nice. But now I'm like, ugh, can't do it. Can't do it. Sometimes I'll have a clove in the fall. I buy like 1 pack of cloves a year, and if I'm sitting like at a fire pit, I might have one, and that's spicy. All right, let's get into the reading. All right, so the first card here will represent who we are in the context of this moment right now. Keep the peace. Wow. So this is very relevant. I mean, obviously, the earth is not in peace at this moment. So the more that we can foster peace as individuals, the better. But I know that there is rage inside of me right now that if I don't express it and work it out of me, it's really building into like hostility. And so it's like a conscious effort right now to cultivate peace, not only in the world, but like within myself as well. And I think it has to start first within ourselves and bleed out into the world. But definitely keeping the peace. If you are feeling like you want to confront someone at this moment, it's probably not a good idea. There's probably more to the situation than you know about, or it could immediately result in negative, unforeseen consequences. So, I mean, we're still in the Mercury retrograde. I'm not sure when that thing's coming out of the microwave, but hopefully soon. But yes, for now, keep the peace. There's possibility of just miscommunication and things not going the way that you hoped. All right, what's crossing us? Ooh, compromise. Wow, keeping the peace and compromising. The situation requires give and take for a win-win situation. You don't have to compromise yourself or your values to find a healthy compromise in this situation. All right, interesting. Let's keep going. So the underlying influence right now, the subconscious influence over the situation, is prosperity and abundance. That's good news. So in our subconscious, we have shifted maybe a lack mentality or lack consciousness, or at least we've been able to identify it enough to catch it when it comes up. And I know when I'm having lack consciousness, and I know when I'm feeling scarcity consciousness, and I know when I'm feeling fear. And so, you know, being able to name it and identify it usually takes the charge out of that feeling of fear when you're feeling gripped. And you can shift your focus and shift your perception. So you have plenty. Do something small to affirm your abundance to yourself. You have sneaky lack hiding in the shadows of your perceptions. Nip it in the bud before it causes problems. So again, like, identifying that lack and that scarcity. And maybe that is the thing, the seed level behind anger and hostility. I know for myself today, I was trying to reverse engineer where is this hostility coming from? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. What is making me hostile right now? Let me count the ways. But I was like, truly, like, down to my personal life, what pisses me off right now the most? I think it's that I work very hard and I have very little to show for it. It's everything's a struggle. There's, it's like struggling financially when you work hard, and you should be making a decent living, like just to be comfortably in the lower middle class, like to not even have that. It's very frustrating, and it's infuriating. And every time you have the smallest need come up and you have to replace something, or you feel like, oh, okay, this needs replacing, I'm just gonna, treat myself to something not being beat up and garbage and try not to reuse this piece of garbage that's dysfunctional, so I'm gonna replace this. But lo and behold, like, something else happens, and then you get cut from a shift, and you're just like, wow, it serves me right for thinking that I could, I don't know, meet my need. And it fills it fills me with rage, and it fills me with rage that, there's all this injustice in the world, and it's like this for so many others as well, most of the people in the world right now. So on a personal level, I'm like, okay, it's mostly the brokenness at this point that's giving me the hostility, because it's holding me back in so many areas. And I'm not really sure. I don't know if this is a physical issue to address fully or a spiritual one, but the wisdom of Kabbalah tells us that we need to be making maximum effort in all areas, right? In your spiritual work, in your physical efforts, in efforts to share and do acts of positivity and kindness. And so if you're working on things like from a mental level, from a consciousness level, from a thought level, you're working on your emotions about it, you're working on the spiritual underlying aspects, you're working on your psychology about it, you're actually working on the physical issues. It's like you've got to really overwhelm the system with your effort. Now, since I was home last night from work, I watched a Kabbalah class, and one of the students was like, I struggle, part of my tikkun is that I struggle with perfectionism because I am a Virgo. So how do I know how to give more effort, but when am I giving too much effort and being obsessive? And so my teacher, she's really great. She was like, let me say this in a different way. She was like, when you are doing like your prayer practice, she was like, how focused are you? Are you drifting in and out? Like, are you really engaged, like emotionally in your prayer? Like, are you praying with intensity and fire? And are you all there? Are you 100% present? Or are you distracted? And is your energy diffused? Right? She was like, think of it not as adding more things to the pile, but how present are you in those moments? How much of yourself are you giving? Are you giving it your full attention? Are you giving it your full gusto, your full passion? And that can be, that's how I have to approach every table, right? Because tonight I had, my big table, my 9 top of business people, that was my big table for the night. And they shorted me on my tip by like $30 or $40. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, that's my water bill, and you're using a company card to take your whole office out. And I gave you 3 courses. I marked your plates and changed out your silverware. I featured, food to you guys. Like, I did everything for you, and you still undertipped me by $40. at a nice restaurant when you had wonderful service. So then from there, I had to go start another table that was like 5 women who, one of them ended up tipping me 3 cents. 3 cents at a nice restaurant. And so then it's like at that same time, I have a 6 top come in where I'm trying to get everybody out, and the people who wanted to give me 3 cents, like, were like wanting things boxed up. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not boxing them up because they just didn't even give me the money to justify it. So bringing them boxes, doing this, like juggling everything. Then I've got this new table sitting down, and I'm trying to give them my personality, knowing that like I've just been, you know, having to go through this with all these other tables. And I'm trying to give them my full kindness and goodness, and they're being extra. And then I find out that they're huge Trump fans. Like, so much so that this lady was like, well, you know, my dog's name is Trumpy. And I'm like, there's nothing more terrifying than people who sit there and act like they're good, nice Christians, but then are totally fine with the horror and evil that has been done at the hands of this administration. It is chilling. It is chilling. So I'm sitting there having to take care of them afterwards and trying to find it in my heart to see them as children of God. And it's just like, but that's what it's like. It's like you have to put the full effort in, because it's really hard not to be a whirlwind of hostility, you know, after all that. Right? So it's like you have to own yourself and have possession of yourself and be aware and conscious and on purpose with intention. And so that's effort, right? Sitting down to do like Bible study, right? It's like, are you drifting in and out? Like, are you focused? Are you enjoying the moment? Like, are you fully in it? You know, I think we haven't hit this one yet, but I just glanced ahead, and in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, don't do things that you hate. And meaning, like, if your whole heart's not in it, then you're going to do it begrudgingly. And it's like an energetic canceling out, right? So either do something with your whole heart, or wait until you can get in the attitude of giving it with your whole heart, or else you're going to be sowing seeds of chaos. Okay, so this next card is going to represent a situation from the past that's still sort of affecting us, but that it's mostly cleared up. So it's time to get over this and move on. It's time to take better care of yourself too. So these 2 cards came out together. And I didn't feel like one was more like, they were both calling to me. So there is something that is like haunting you that is hard to let go of. For me, it is the most recent shitty thing that my dad has done to our family. And so even though I've tried to just forgive him of the debt of being my father, it's like there are people in my like family who just continually insist on having these people at like our family events. And then we all end up suffering for it because of some weird thing that happens later that is at the hands of my dad and his wife. Something malicious or whatever. So I just feel like I don't feel safe around them. I don't feel, you know, there's so many emotions there, but at the same time, like, I'm like, okay, well, I know for my own good, like, I've got to process this, and I can't carry anger around and hostility because it's only working against me, right? So I've been trying to, there's this prayer at the end of the night that King David would say. And part of that prayer, you have to like, pick out the person. You have to pick out a person and say like, I completely and fully forgive this person because I know that everything they did and everything they said was brought to me by the Creator. And it's usually like I always make myself pick the person that I don't want to forgive the most. And sometimes that will be the person that I put in that slot for months and months and months. And at first I do it through gritted teeth. Completely forgive my just I know that all that's happened, you know, or whoever it's been in the past, right? So I started working with him again in my, you know, attempts at forgiveness, but whatever it is for you, you might have something similar. It's like legitimate, you're completely justified in your feelings, but it's really not doing anything to help you. And it's actually the thing that's like causing issues and problems in your life that's holding you back. And so it's like it's stoking like the hostility or whatever, right? That emotion that's slowing your life down, your manifestations down. So it's time to get over this and move on. But part of that too is just self-care and loving yourself, and the fact that if you're holding on to a grudge or a fear or something that is affecting everything that you do and every decision you make, right? And it's like hanging over you, it starts to affect your health too, and your well-being and the way that your life is going. So it's like that old saying, do you want to be right or happy? And intellectually, it's easy to make that call, but the emotional process is still there. It's like when you have eaten a big like order of fast food. Like there's this place called Fat Mo's down the street, and it's one of those places where it's like a Greek owned like local hamburger chain that's like in like a little tiny shack that you pull around. There's nowhere to sit, and it's like delicious big fat hamburgers, and they like make them on the flat top, and so good. And then they have like the spicy fries. And then whenever I go to Fat Mo's, it's usually like for a hangover day or like a special, like I'm gonna really like throw it all away and do like a fast food binge. And you know, and I'll even go like full fat girl, and I'll get a chicken strips order as well with my bacon cheeseburger and my spicy fries and onion rings, and I go ham. And afterwards it's like my body and my mind are like, oh, well, that was fun while it lasted, but now I'm full of regret and I shouldn't have done that, and now I regret the calories. But there's nothing you can do. Well, I mean, I guess, but it doesn't really do any good to do that, and it's bad for you. So it's like you're just like, well, I just gotta let it run its course. I just gotta let it digest through. Like you can't do anything about it, but just be like, well, I guess I'll make different choices next time, but probably not. It's just like next time I'm going to do it again, but I'm not making it a regular habit. But we've got to get over this and move on. But at the same time, we have to allow ourselves honesty in the process about how we feel. So I think that in order to like what the answer is talking to ourselves and talking to God about how we feel. And you can do that with your voice in prayer or through journaling. Maybe you can make some art or do something creative. You know, sometimes I like to process emotion while I'm running. Like my neighbors probably think I'm crazy because sometimes I'm literally sobbing and running and like with snot running down my nose, and I'm just like jogging through the neighborhood. But yeah, it's time to take better care of yourself. So part of this is letting go of anger, sadness, fear, whatever it is that's really making that kind of like putting a damper on your life or controlling you and steering your every decision. It's time to take better care of ourselves. Okay, so what is crowning us now? That's the energy that's hanging over our head. It's creation phase 3. So what that means is in Kabbalah, there are 4 phases of creation. The 4th being the fulfillment of manifestation. So not only do you get the manifestation, but it is fulfilling. The manifestation is fulfilled and the manifestation is fulfilling. You know how sometimes you'll get what you want, but it doesn't satisfy you? You're like, oh, well, you know, that didn't bring me any fulfillment. Brought chaos, you know. But the real creation phase 4, the real manifestation, is when you get the thing, but it's also fulfilling. And so you've built the vessel in order to truly appreciate it. You have the maturity to handle it and hold it, and then have the strength to sustain it once you have it. And so the thing is, creation phase 3 is the test that comes before creation phase 4. Very quickly to run through these, the creation phase 1 is like a passive desire. It's like you kind of have an idea and you're like, oh, that'd be cool. that'd be neat, but you haven't really taken on like this passionate mission. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's just like, oh, that would be cool. I like that idea. But creation phase 2 is like, you know what? I have an active desire. I'm actually going to go for this and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be fully committed and I'm going to burn the midnight oil and come hell or high water like I'm doing this thing. I'm giving it all I've got. So creation phase 2 is the montage in the movie where the character is like exercising and they're like studying and they're like eating better and they're doing a makeover and they're painting their apartment and they've started a business, you know, the classic empowerment montage of the process of becoming the, you know, the champion. So that's creation phase 2. But what if there wasn't like a clean little finish to that montage where you go into the next scene and everything's just kind of fine? What if that montage kept going on and you kind of like faced the big fear and you told the girl how you felt, or you told your dad to stick it where the sun doesn't shine, or I don't know, you know, maybe that wasn't the right thing to say to your dad. That maybe depends on what your tikkun is. If your tikkun is overcoming complete passivity and being overly, like being easily domineered, then maybe standing up to your father is the thing that's being asked of you, right? But if you are a rebellious person that can never listen to good guidance or wisdom, maybe it's finding a way to be humble or submissive. Either way, whatever your tikkun is, it usually has to do with going against what comes easily to you or what comes naturally to you. It's like developing yourself beyond what's easy. So creation phase 3 is when you've been putting in the work and you have done the big thing that you think, like in the hero's journey when they have the big moment and they did the thing and then everybody at the end comes out and everything's okay and you win and you get the thing. In creation phase 3, you're set up for the scene, but it's like then nothing happens. The manifestation still isn't coming. And you're like, we're too far in to go back, and I don't know how much further there is to go, but you're in this like no man's land where it's silent. You were having all these spiritual tests coming in to like test, you know, how far you've grown and what you'll settle for and what kind of boundaries that you've created for yourself. And it's like when the tests even stop and you're like, it just feels like the energy has just gone totally quiet and you're like, I'm tired. I don't know, like, is there anything that's going to happen? And so that is the test. The creation phase 3 test is to be able to push past the fear that there's not going to be any results, the fear that you have wasted your time. You have to believe that there was a reason that this thing has been put in your heart and soul, and that you are just coming to your natural, you know, kind of empty tank as a human being. And you are like, you know what? I'm pulling out all the stops. I'm going deep into my reserves of strength. I'm praying that the Creator will help me keep doing this. And what you pray is that you're like, you know what, Creator, I see that I'm not seeing results, and I want to be in right standing. And so I'm going to keep pursuing this thing. So if you are against me doing this thing, or if I'm off base here, then do everything in your power to show me and stop me. But I'm also going to be doing everything in my power to continue on and see this thing through. Because so many times the last test is a test of perseverance and faith, that you won't give up and that you won't give in and settle for something that's not the thing, right? Not what you were really going for. So creation phase 3, the secret is you've got to keep on giving. You've got to show the Creator that I'm not doing this based on results. I'm doing this based on the fact that this is between me and you, right? Whenever I get like on my last legs with like content creation in the channel, because it just has like been such a slow growth process, right? Like there are countless channels that are like, oh my God, nothing was happening. I was posting for months and then finally I went viral. I'm like, oh, posting for months? Try years. So I have to remind myself in those moments God sees what I'm doing. I'm doing what I believe God wants me to do. And so the rest is out of my hands. I'm giving my maximum effort, and I'm pushing myself to even go deeper. How much more effort can I give? How much more can I focus? How much more can I put my heart into things, right? When I've run out of gas and I'm in a malaise and nothing is fun anymore, how can I find that passion again? I'm giving myself all to this. Giving a big vessel. The opponent comes to fight. Challenge comes. Challenge, ego, go back to illusion. So it's like, oh, you're challenged. What's the point of all of this? It's easier to go back to my egoic life, and the ego is tempting you into just going back to your old ways, just backsliding, giving up. What's the point? There's no real reward. But it's when you say, you know what, I don't care if there's a reward. The reward is in the doing. The reward is in what I'm giving. And so I'm going to keep doing it regardless. And that is when you have a good chance that you're going to be going into creation phase 4. But I have been in creation phase 3 for a minute. Okay, so what is coming around the corner? What is right around the corner? Better left unsaid. Okay, this is a card that came up back and forth over and over again all year in the 2026 prediction series. So there's something about being very careful about the way that we communicate and what we say and how we say it right now. It could land in a very productive or destructive way. So at this point, we have the compromise card out right now, and we have keep the peace. So it feels to me like with, let's see, what did we have? We had Venus and Aries squaring Jupiter and Cancer. We've got a lot of sensitive and highly combustible energy going on right here. The Aries energy is about going into battle. And that's why we have the Aries energy is the beginning of the year, of the head of the year, because that warrior energy is required. Because the moment we set out on an adventure, here comes the opponent. So it's one battle after another, right? Like the movie. So better left unsaid. At risk of a misunderstanding, words falling on deaf ears. This will cost you something. Consider if what you want to say is constructive or destructive. You may not have all the facts. Loose lips sink ships. So loose lips sink ships. So if you are working on something and it's like this new project and you're, excited and it's not like very far along, it's better not to talk about it, because not only are you getting high on the energy of everyone talking about, oh, what a great idea, and then you have less motivation to actually complete the thing because you're kind of like getting high on the idea of it rather than doing it. But then also other people have evil eye about it. They are threatened by what you're doing. They are a little jealous. They are maybe skeptical. So if you have like a new idea, it's tender. So it's like keeping it secret actually builds the energy and the momentum, whereas talking about it spills out that momentum. Okay. Man, my hip is really hurting. This cushion is like uneven. Okay. All right. So the next card will represent our perspective that is affecting us in this moment. Oh, be patient. Not what I wanted to see. I'm feeling such impatience right now and ennui and just like a stirring inside. Like I'm feeling so not anxious, but like anticipatory. Like I'm like, it feels like Christmas or like the night, like Christmas Eve, or like I'm about to go on a really fun trip. I'm like, come on, let's just go already. Like I feel something brewing or like something could change. But I feel like, I just can't wait any longer. While it's at the same time sort of just feeling like, it's a mixture of such a weird feeling. It's almost like I just had the vision of like four-wheeling in the mud, or like mudding in a truck or a Jeep. It's like there's this drive to like push through the muck, and it's just wet and muddy, and there's all this emotion, but then there's like, I don't know, this like spitfire that's like boiling up, and this recklessness and raucous nature. I've said that word wrong twice today. I haven't been able to remember the right way to say it. Raucous. So be patient. Impatience, obsessing, nagging, resistance, pushing, forcing, repelling. So when we're trying to force something, or when we're impatient for it, it's like we're too attached, and it's actually repelling the thing instead of drawing it in. It's like when we relax and let go and surrender, that is very attractive. That is very magnetic. Whereas if we are holding on to something and we can't let go, that is very repellent. All right. Okay. So the next card will be how the outer world is affecting us, or how other people are affecting us, the situation. So this is where your soul is calling you. So everything that's happening right now is part of your Tikkun's adventure. It's part of the script. It's not, nothing's out of place. This is what it's supposed to be. So this is the test that we're in right now. So we're like in an escape room. We have to figure out the key that is going to get us to the next stage. Okay, so our hopes and fears here are Shabbat. And so what I think this is definitely a relief, because I think we're scared to let go and surrender. We're scared to relax. We're scared to let our guard down. We're scared to take our hands off of the situation and allow God to move through it, because we're in like a certain level of survival mode, you know, and we feel like, I've got to make sure that, everything's taken care of, and, I've got to like be hyper vigilant about everything and every second. And I think that's just a normal human response to the level freaking orange threat that the human family is in right now on Earth. But we're having to casualize it because, we got to go on living, and we're not going to not laugh. We're not going to stop making memes. So it's like there is this sort of like low level vigilance of trying to protect the self and trying to be hyper aware and hyper on it and hyper focused, and so that we feel a sense of control. And it's like too, feeling like it's like we can never just let go and relax and stop. And the thing is that Shabbat is so sacred because even God needed rest. Even the Almighty Creator of everything in existence, who has all the strength and all of the energy on Earth, realized the sacred value of rest, of taking a pause after a thing has been done, after a thing has been completed, after work has been done, rhythmically resting. And the thing about Shabbat is that it's not just about rest. You're not supposed to work. And it's not just about rest, but it's an act demonstrating that that it's not all on your shoulders. That yes, it's our job to be on Earth and doing the work and being the facilitator of the light to work through us. So we know we're not here to just passively, flaccidly wait for God to do it for me. Come pick me up, Jesus, and lift me to work. Now bring me to the man of my dreams. Like, I'm not going to do anything here. I'm just going to lay here passively, Move me around, Jesus. Roll me over, Jesus. Like, that's what a lot of people are like, right? So we have to be proactive. We have to be involved in like taking action and making maximum effort. But at the same time, and we touched on this in last night's video, at the same time that we're making maximum effort, we also have to realize that no matter how much effort we give, it's not going to do anything unless God gives us that little beep, that little magic stamp of approval, like that little zzz, and that power facilitates the flow of the thing happening, right? It's like, lest the Lord keep your house, your labor is in vain. If God is not keeping you and taking care of things, then all your efforts are in vain anyway. Now, it's not to be misunderstood and think, oh, well, if God's, if God wills it so it's going to be, or, if God doesn't take care of me, then I'm going to be goner anyway. It doesn't give you an excuse to not take responsibility for yourself or your life, but it also tells you that ultimately it's God's power working through you. It's God's power giving me breath in my lungs and, the blood in my body that's solid because I haven't drank enough water. Right? So, I'm here living, and I'm gonna, make myself some food, and I have to bathe myself, and I have to exercise and stretch and take care of myself, but ultimately God is keeping me alive at any given moment. And so that's true too for our work, right? And our earning our bread. We worry about whether the ends are going to meet and what's going to happen. But when we allow ourselves to surrender and rest in God's rest, then we feel that gives us the opportunity to see that God will fill in the gaps for us, that God will come and help us if we've been earnestly doing our part. Part of our part is then taking that portion of time and saying, okay, look, for 6 days or 6 parts, 5/6, I've been putting in the effort. But in this last day, I am, in the last day of the week, I guess 6, 7. The last portion of this is me letting go, is me surrendering, right? The creation phase 3, putting in the work. But ultimately, I have to rest and surrender the outcome. I have to let go of control, right? And then quite literally, also it's like, oh, I'm so scared to let my guard down. I'm so scared to take a day off. I'm so scared to, replace this thing that I need, because what if an emergency comes up and I need money then? It's like, give it a rest. Rest. Let yourself trust that God will take care of you. Again, it doesn't mean that you just suddenly quit your job and burn all the bridges and you're like, oh, I give up. I'm just going to let God take care of it for me. But giving yourself at least one 24-hour period a week where you're not feeling driven to have to make it all happen. And really, the best time to do that is sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, because that is a specific window in cosmic time and space that opens, that allows us to access a higher quality of the light than that is available during the rest of the week. Also allows us to connect with a greater light of our soul that's not really available to us the rest of the week. It's like we can connect to that perfected self that's already gone through the whole correction, that spirit part of ourself, and that kind of gasses us up for the week ahead, and it surrounds us and fuels us with blessings, and it blesses the entire week. So I know I haven't been working on Fridays now for several years, unless I need to go in and pick up a shift to help out the restaurant, or if I'm in the dire straits and I need to pick up extra shifts and that's all I can pick up. But I love having Friday off and Saturday morning, and if I could, I would have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to devote to spiritual studies and prayer and all of that. But having that time on Friday specifically in that window, it gives you a higher quality of energy that you're downloading than it would if you tried to have Shabbat on Tuesday, right? So don't be afraid to relax. And I think that when we demonstrate that part, okay, so if this is in our hopes and fears section, where this is like where we're thinking about, is my dream going to come true? Is my desire going to come true? And what's crowning us is creation phase 3. It's like we're almost there. We're almost there to the fulfillment of the manifestation. Then perhaps the answer is, the last step is surrender, is letting go, is trust, is not hyper vigilantly white knuckling everything, but realizing that it's gonna come in perfect time. And then the final outcome is, don't be lazy. I love that. So on the one hand, we need to relax and not be control freaks, and we need to observe that day, that sacred day of rest, and have that rhythm, but also to have that mental and emotional and spiritual rest, right? But at the same time, we need to give maximum effort. So that observing Shabbat intentionally, with reverence about it, that is giving maximum effort. Even though you're not working and you're not toiling, you are giving maximum effort, because it takes effort to let go. And it takes trust to let go. And it is a mitzvah to practice Shabbat, to observe Shabbat. So that is part of our spiritual effort. In the meantime, all of the other things that we do, when you sit down to do steps that progress your dreams or your goals forward, be focused. Don't have your energy scattered. Don't have your attention scattered. Maybe even set like a timer to where you're like, okay, I'm going to do uninterrupted work for 20-25 minutes, and I'm not going to get distracted, and I'm not going to get up and go warm up my coffee or anything. I'm going to do 25 minutes, and then after that is over, then I can go do all the things that I'm dying to do the whole time I need to be working, right? Like, really train yourself to give your full attention into something, and give your heart into something, and put your intensity into it. Maybe think about that as the quality of your effort, rather than trying to spread yourself so thin that you burn yourself out. Make the quality of your effort count for more. Okay, so let's grab a few tarot cards. Oh, what do you know? Ace of Wands. That's very Aries new moon vibes, if you ask me. Fire returning, new start, new motivation, a new active desire. So that is really good. Fresh fire, fresh energy, fresh motivation, fresh momentum. Ooh, Page of Wands. This is like having that youthful energy and enthusiasm. The Page of Wands is like excited. They're a helpful person. They want to jump in there and do it. So it's like, even though we might feel like a million years old right now, like, have you guys ever seen what we do in the shadows? I think it's the movie when they're like, "Where's Peter?" And they're like, "Peter is 7,000 years. No, wait, Peter is 700 years old. He's not coming to the meeting." We feel like Peter. I'm 700 years old. I'm not coming to the meeting. We have to reverse that, and we have to be sprightly and have that youthful enthusiasm again. Ooh, you know what I hope? I hope this means that Kat Abu Ghraib wins the Chicago election. I'm sorry, I totally messed up her last name. So I just learned about a really amazing candidate in the last 2 days. And she's part Palestinian, and she's very young. She's probably in her 20s or early 30s. And she's running for Senate in Chicago. And the race is like, she's 3 points ahead the last time I checked. It's very exciting. She is 100% honest. She does not suffer fools. She does not placate. She does not play politician. She gives direct answers, and she's not playing. And she is funded by grassroots funding, no super PAC, no APAC money, no corporate donors, no bipartisan donors. No one owns her. And she is also a poor and she doesn't have health insurance. So we know that this is a person who's going to have the people's interests in her heart and in her work. And so I really hope that this means that she's going to win. I think that is a very, it's positive. I hope so. I hope this is a win for her, because it would be a win for all of us. She's really amazing. Okay. Her campaign has been super awesome too. Like the I guess her, what would you call it, style of campaign, their look, their flavor, their tone, their like graphic design, like the everything that they were inspired by and drew from and have created. I mean, it's got teeth. It's satire. It's satirical. It's quippy. It's biting. Like I love it. It's so good. But you'll have to look her up. I know that I didn't give you a lot to go on, but Kate, and then her name it starts with an A, and it's like 4 syllables, and it's like da 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 da. But I can't remember right now. I tried to read it 100 times and say it 100 times so I would remember how to say it right, and I still can't. So I apologize. Okay. Ooh, King of Swords. Yes, clarity, authority. Oh my God. King of Swords is about government positions. It's about ruling. And look, this is a feminine King of Swords. Oh my God. Oh my God. With pink underneath her feet. Oh, I hope she wins. Oh my gosh, I hope she wins. She would be such a pain in the ass for so many of these corpses. I love it. I love it. Let's do it. But yes, so this is about like authority and sovereignty over oneself, having mental self-mastery. And part of the Zohar portions this week are talking about how the thought is the seed level of everything. It's like from the thought springs the emotions about the thought. It's like everything starts in your thoughts. So if you can go to the source, catch the thoughts as they're coming, and transmute them and choose another thought. Like this writer, Gabrielle Bernstein, she's like a spiritual coach, and she's been around since like 2010s, something like that. But she can communicate spirituality in a very like simple, hands-on way. But she always says, like, makes a point to be like, I choose to have another thought. I choose another thought. I choose another thought. I choose to see this differently. I choose to want another thought, right? But it's so simple. It's like, I choose another thought. That's all we need to do sometimes. It's simple, but not easy. Sometimes I want to cling to my thoughts. I want to be hostile. Yes. So yes. Mental thought mastery over mind over matter. And 2, right? So like, look, she's sitting in a serene environment, right? The sky is not stormy. It's a fluffy clouds. It's pleasant. Like the environment behind her is calm. So she has a calm, stable mind, right? She has inner peace within her, and it starts with the thoughts. We get what we wish. 9 of Cups, your wish comes true. All good things have come to you. Girl, I hope she wins the election. And you know what else? Oh my gosh, y'all are gonna shit yourselves. The Sun card. A child riding on the white horse of new life, waving the banner of victory. The sun shining on a new day, new illumination, new era, new consciousness. The Sun card is also one of the cards in the deck that you can interpret as a big yes. So if you had like a yes or no question, which is usually not advisable for tarot reading, but if you had a yes or no question and you got the Sun card, that is like a yes. It's a whopping yes. So let's hope we just predicted girlfriend's victory. I certainly hope so. But either way, it seems like we are going to have a resurgence, a rebirth of energy, and a rebirth of our enthusiastic drive and our energy to move and act and get things done. And it's going to come as a result of having found peace within and being able to have a little bit of self-control over our out of control thoughts, get those under reined in, and that will yield the kind of inner peace that can generate more and more magnetism to draw in the things that we are calling in, and not just calling in, but making efforts to go meet those things. Okay, and then as a result, new illumination, feeling like we're starting new chapters, new day, new beauty, a new sense of enthusiasm and hope. And this will usher in, you know, things that we've wanted to happen can start finding fulfillment here. Lerb, good news. All right, my hip. Okay, let's actually, before we grab the Angel Tarot, let's grab a Moonology card. Let's see, what's this? What do we have? Ooh, step out of your comfort zone. North Node. Okay, wait, what was in the North Node? Something was North Noding. I wonder if I wrote it down. I did not make a note of whatever was touching or having things going on with the North Node, but something is North Node. The nodes be noting right now. So stepping out of your comfort zone. So the North Node is going towards our destiny. The North Node represents our destiny. The South Node of the Moon represents the completed karma that we're already finished with and that we're moving away from. So currently, the North Node of the Moon is in Virgo. We're going towards humanitarianism and serving others and sharing, and getting more organized as an earth, but as individuals as well. And we are leaving the personal tikkun, the personal struggles, the personal strife. It's been all about our own internal healing and our own individual awakening for many, many years, all of existence up until now. But now, as Pluto left Capricorn fall 2004 and moved into Aquarius, it's like all of that intensity and culmination and death and rebirth that had to do with what Capricorn deals with, which is our own personal karma and tikkun, was sort of like, okay, we've done the overhaul there. Now our focus is shifting, like with all that we've done, now we're applying it to how we show up as way showers, as light bearers in the world where the masses haven't woken up quite yet. It's happening in stages and in waves. So we are, the lifeguards, the facilitators, the trail guides in this process, in this moment. And so we can see this happening too with the themes of the North Node. It's like that North Node is also steering us towards Pluto moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius. Aquarius is also all about the collective and humanity and humane things and humanitarianism and innovation and invention, right? So our tendency, our focus has shifted from our own personal woes to feeling more concerned for the collective and wanting to facilitate healing and repair and correction within the collective, right? So something about our calling and our purpose is leading us in that direction, and it's going to need us to get out of our comfort zone. It's going to need us to get out of what we already know. because we have to leave the South Node. We have to leave all the work that we've been doing and all of the ways that we've been comfortable and in a groove and in a routine. And now it's like, okay, it's a new chapter. We have to shift our approach. We have to shift our focus. We have to, you know, step out and do something that might feel risky, or it might feel a little dangerous, or, you know, we might be uncertain about how it would even work, or, you know, we're looking into a void that has yet to be filled, but we have to believe that it's waiting as the vessel, is the container waiting to be filled with light. So I love that. So getting out of our comfort zone, guys. Gotta do that. Tit. I don't know if you guys have seen Raising Arizona, but it's one of the best movies ever made. Okay. Let's grab an Angel Wisdom Tarot card. Let's see. Oh, Justice. Hell yeah. So I hope our girl is joining the Senate. That would be super cool. Be super cute if we had like a little the truth coming from the mouths of babes, like getting all up in them dinosaurs' faces. I love it. Their jowls trembling. She's gonna call them all out. They're shitting in their diapers. Okay, so be impartial and objective. Stand up for what you believe. Try to see all sides of the situation. Just kidding, you guys. I'm a bad influence, but you know what, I'm joking. Okay, but try to see all sides of the situation. You will win if your position is one of integrity. So maintain integrity right now. You know, the scales are always in flux. And when we overcome our temptation into our worst nature and we rise up above that, it tips the scales of the whole humanity, right? And so if we have all of this evil piling up on the scales on the side of judgment, everything that we do as far as personal transformation and acts of sharing and acts of transformation that we do in the world to make a difference, those things tip that scale, right? So I love that. And it's like it's like our tikkun is being evened out, like we're balancing, like the balance, right? Like we've paid our dues. Right? We're at a zero balance. I mean, that's probably not true, but if we were at a zero balance, we'd be dead and we wouldn't be incarnating again. But trying to get to that place, this is also a Libra card. So think about all that Venus that we were talking about, like Venus and Aries squaring Jupiter and Cancer. So again, this can heighten your sense of desire and like hunger for things. So be aware of that. Maybe keep a balance, you know, when you feel these urges coming up, like the urges I feel to want that linen sheet set that in like every color. They're so beautiful. I don't know why I'm craving that so bad right now. It's like the color. Sometimes I crave colors. All right, so let's grab a few cards to see where we're at with our manifestations. Ooh, time to move on. Oh my God, what was that? Like our third card. It's time to get over this and move on. Something is ready for us to move on from. So it's time to let go of the old and worn out so that new can come in. And like, look, this is like the ocean themed dolphins and mermaids card. So we've got like all that water, the tides rolling through, coming out, rolling in, coming out. Like literally physically go through your space and throw away things. Throw away things that you don't want. Throw away things that you don't need. Throw away things that, like Marie Kondo taught us, that aren't bringing you joy. I never watched that show, but I took away the general message. And I think about that every time I look at my closet. But when you clear up physical space, like the universe loves a void. So it's going to want to send something to you to fill the void of what was there, right? So anything that you can let go of. And, you know, in the physical sense, but also like in the mental space, in your emotional space, like anything that you can purge and let go of. But a lot of times when we are doing spiritual work, if we do a corresponding physical action that represents that spiritual work, it's like that's a magical act of like bringing that through into the material realm. And that's something that, like when I'm observing Jewish holidays, there's always like ritual involved, and there's usually like some physicality of taking an action and doing something, or eating a thing, or burning a thing, or throwing bread into water. Like there's acts that you do that represent what your spiritual work is doing. And to prepare for Passover, which is also in Pisces season, you are deep cleaning your house and you're getting rid of every single crumb of bread that has leaven in it. And so what that bread, that leaven, is representative of is the ego, right? The ego can expand and rise, and it can get puffed up. It can puff up you can get overconfident, you can get arrogant. The ego can make you second guess your decisions and be fearful. I was running on time for work today, and I got like a couple of blocks down the road and my hypervigilance kicked in, and I was like, did I unplug my hair straightener? And I couldn't recall the memory of seeing it put away. And I was just like, I know that I'm just being attacked by the Satan right now just to make me running late for work, but I feel that I can't let this go. I had to come back and see that, yes, my obsessive compulsiveness definitely probably put it away and checked 5 times, and everything was fine, and that it was always going to be fine. But I came back, I had to check, even though I knew I was being fooled, right? So moving on. So letting go of those fears. Okay. All right. Consult an expert. So more information is needed. Contact someone with expertise in this area. So sometimes when I get this card, it's so interesting because I won't know who I need to contact for what expertise. Like I'm not even aware that I need advice for anything, right? Like sometimes if you don't know what you're looking for, like if you don't know you're supposed to be looking for something, you know what I mean? Like that's why it's sometimes easier to buy a course rather than just trying to like find information on the internet about how to do something, because you're like sifting through a million videos and you're like, I don't know, like did I catch everything? Like am I getting all the information I need, right? But the great thing is that if I put it out there, I'm like, okay, God, send me a teacher, send me an expert, let me know what I'm missing. More often than not, I will happen upon like a content creator who's like teaching a certain thing or whatever. Like I might run across someone that's like a Substack person, and they know what's going on Substack, and they know how to set it up just right for success. Or I recently, all of these marketing teachers and gurus that were always telling you, oh yeah, you can sell these courses and you can sell these for this price and all this stuff. And it's like they have been forced to come out and be like, okay, yeah, that's not really reality anymore. Like it worked for us when the internet was not completely diluted and saturated, but now our cells are dwindling, and this is the grift that has been revealed. So I was so relieved to hear that, because it, like, I have labored under the under the belief that like I wasn't like cutting it, like I wasn't up to par, like I wasn't as good, like no one wanted my stuff, or that I had dreams that maybe they would someday and I would build a better course and they'd want it then, and things are just changing. And it was a relief to hear it, because I was like, I don't want to chase a pipe dream down a rabbit hole if it's not a thing anymore. It's not that I'm not going to make courses and things, I will, but how I will structure that and price it is not going to be what the industry taught you that it was going to be like. But I wouldn't have known that had I not kind of seen that thumbnail. I was kind of turned off by the title of the video, but something told me to watch it and I did. And then lo and behold, like other things have come out since then that have kind of confirmed and clarified that. But I think it was a very helpful and a relief, but I wouldn't have known to look for that expert. So just be open and be asking God to send you the information that you need through a person who knows what they're talking about. And you know, when something catches your attention like that, don't dismiss it, but maybe like really look into it. Pay attention. Ha! Just like I said, when something shows itself to you and it kind of grabs your attention, pay attention. You can always use your judgment and discernment after the fact, but you won't get the message if you just dismiss it, right? So notice repetitious signs and your inner guidance, as this can yield valuable information. Okay. Let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care. Receive without guilt or apologies. For me, receiving has been difficult in my life. And in order for the universe to bring you things and give you things, you have to have an open vessel that can receive. And for me, I have been punished a lot of times in my life for receiving, thinking that it was safe to receive and that whatever was coming to me like from like a genuine place or a genuine heart. And I've been attacked, you know, by people who are closest to me when I thought I was safe to receive from them. So for me, I have a very deep-seated fear many times of receiving something because I'm afraid that there's going to be pain and punishment attached to it, or strings, or, you know, something that is, you know, not just on the up and ups. And so that has been something that I've had to work hard to try to dismantle, to try to feel safe to receive, because when we can't receive, we're blocking off not just from that giver, but all of life. We're like shutting out opportunities and anything that the universe is trying to bring us and bless us with, we can't receive it. It's like having the vessel, but having a big lid on top. Which, by the way, speaking of like courses and curriculum and feedback, one of you, thank you for giving me this feedback and insight, but one of the women who watched the channel said that they really appreciated the structure of our like spiritual curriculum, that it kept her focused, whereas like it'd be, you know, the intention is there to want to work on yourself, but there's like not enough continuity. You know, you get distracted with this rabbit hole and you go down this rabbit hole, but like having consistent, ongoing, you know, direction has been very helpful. And so that is very helpful for me to hear, because that gives me insight into like how I can build things, and it lets me know that this channel is like running the way it was intended to. So I really appreciate that feedback. It's very helpful. Okay, romance angels, do we have anything coming up in our love lives? Does anybody love us? Oh my gosh, not the answer we were hoping for. Worth waiting for. So not now, not right now. So divine timing is at work in your love life. So settle in. It's not going to be immediate, but trust that it doesn't mean that there's nothing coming. It's just that whatever is coming, it's not ready yet, right? There are other people involved and they're going through their process too. So maybe someone has just gotten a job in your city and they're coming up with all the plans and everything that are involved in like moving to your city, right? Maybe, you know, it could be any number of things, but that's a good example. It's like you never know who's on the way, but there's just still process that is playing out. So trust that you have someone. Oh my God, the card on top. You deserve love. We are safe to receive, and that we deserve love, and that we are lovable. Well, that's a relief. It's like, you know what it feels like? It feels like, is there anyone out there? Am I an enigma? Am I just like this solo unicorn? Like, am I ever going to find love? And like, the card is like, well, it's gonna still be a wait, but you deserve love. Don't get down on yourself. You're awesome. You deserve love. It's not that you don't deserve love. It's just like, you just keep waiting. Okay. All right. Let's see what this is. Oh, very soon. Maybe not too much longer. Maybe as soon as we are not afraid to receive. Love this. Clearly decide what you want so it comes to you now. So we can't be wishy-washy about what we want, right? We need to know the essence of the person that we're looking for. We don't need to get caught up on like super specifics about like trivial things, but it's important to know the kind of person, the kind of values they have, what their day-to-day lifestyle is like. Do you have core compatibility? Does that character, that individual, are they all in and want this with you as well? There are different things to consider when you consider who is going to be a compatible suitor for you. And part of it is that, like, yeah, you can have all these things aligned and in common, but if they're not ready for a relationship or they don't want to pursue one with you, then they're not the right person. They might just be a prototype of something that you would like, but they're not the one, right? So unless they are, actively also wanting to pursue you as well. So I guess for us, the thing that's kind of like the issue at hand here is religious factors. So your love life is being influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. Well, a lot of people my age were brought up in like evangelical households that had a very undesirable model of family dynamics, of one domineering character that everyone else kind of submitted to and supported, and got behind. And then, there were clearly laid out gender roles that everybody just stay in these boxes. And it just was such an unappealing portrayal of marriage that I think a lot of people that were my age rejected it. And I think that's something that people are kind of like healing from now. But it does require a lot of deconstruction, because there's so many religious layers that were weaponized to fuel these like family dynamics and archetypes that came from insidious roots and sources. There was actually like this family counseling. I can't remember what it's called, but I've heard like people talk about this that are like learned, and they know about this from experience and they can cite the books, they can cite the writer. I just can't remember right now, but this is a real thing. So there was this eugenist from like the Nazi party and from Germany in World War II that I think came to the US and got involved with, like, they were trying to, propel the white supremacist agenda. And part of that was like building the nuclear family and having everybody, be submissive and fall into their roles and be, squeaky clean, projections of perfection. And basically the details of this. So he came up with this this model for family counseling, and he sold it as this Christian family counseling to all of these like evangelicalists. And really this was a Nazi trying to propel the white supremacy agenda and the like right-winged extremism. But they did it in a sneaky way to just make it part of the culture. And the people were very gullible and trusting at that time. And so it spread like wildfire. And so even if you are not from a family that like was aware of where that came from and like wasn't necessarily executing these like really stern, strict like dynamics and like guidelines, your family was likely influenced by this school of thought because it became part of the culture. It permeated the culture. And so a lot of the family dynamics and the structures of like discipline and like family power and all of this stuff were centered around grooming kids and women to just accept abuse and be abused physically, sexually, you name it, whatever floats your boat. Get everybody to submit and then tell them it's their fault that they're not being long suffering and they should be forgiving to the abuser. And so this was the model and the point of it. And so it was disguised as family counseling, and they picked out a few Bible verses to make it seem like everybody was doing the Lord's work and this was what God intended, but really it wasn't. It was what a Nazi intended. And so trying to help people unpack that, and then trying to tell the generation that was like delivering this kind of grooming and conditioning, like they're not really wanting to hear it. And so we're all left like, okay, sifting through the wheat from the chaff, right? So religious factors are playing in and rebuilding our understanding of love and what spiritual love looks like. And it doesn't look like anything mainstream Christianity is preaching at you, because their principles are still based from those principles. The principles of training people to take abuse. So I think there's a lot of that being deconstructed right now out in the world, within ourselves and within others. And so I think that there's just, people are wary and they're trying to get their footing. They're trying to figure out where they are in the scheme of everything right now. And I know for me personally, just at a surface level, I feel like I'm going to have to find someone who's got compatible beliefs. Because I've tried to date guys before that didn't really have my beliefs, and I wasn't really trying to force them into converting or anything, and I just respected their beliefs and I let them do their thing. But then the way that like we would make decisions together and where I was coming from, they would never trust my intuition or that guidance. And I don't know, we just had a lot of things that were inherently a mismatch because of that. And then also I would like to have a partner who, when times get hard, like they have faith too. They'll be able to minister to me, I'll be able to minister to them, we're in it together, right? I would like someone with faith. I would like someone who like would be like, oh yeah, let's watch a Kabbalah class. Like, oh, I can't wait for Rosh Hashanah. Like I really hope to find someone like that, but I have never met this person yet. I am that person. So it's not that they're not out there. They're definitely worth waiting for. I deserve them. Hopefully it's very soon. But yes, these pesky religious issues are affecting the love life right now. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But it could be very soon, and it could be, we're getting our ducks in a row about all this stuff that's coming up inside and having to, sort through all that right now. Okay, I see you. What are you? So this is our, loving words from Mary, Queen of Angels, Jesus' mom. So we got tenderness, the opposite of hostility. Name of my week. I am both gentle and powerful. I love that. This is a picture depicting Elizabeth running to meet Mary when she showed up to stay with her through her confinement during her pregnancy. And she says, blessed are you, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. I love that. And so I am both gentle and powerful. I felt powerful but not gentle today. When I was driving downtown, I had an errand. I had to go to the cobbler to get my boots resoled. And I'm like driving through downtown. You know how there's always like construction, detours, all this stuff. And so I take like a split second to consider my route. And I'm even moving. I haven't slowed down. Nothing's happened. I'm just like thinking and I'm figuring out what I need to do. Some man is behind me honking. Like, sir, are you just upset that anyone else is on the road? Like, how entitled can you get? So I did the ungentle, unchristian thing and gave him a signal, a traffic signal. And I really enjoyed that, and I shouldn't have. So, seek and ye shall find. We literally said this verse earlier. Whatever you are looking for, you will find it. If it has to do with understanding, with revealing more light, with magnifying God through your soul, as Mary did, then you will find it. It may be an adventure, right, that you have to go on, a journey. But eventually, bit by bit, you will find the understanding, or you will find the thing that you're looking for. You will find the strength to overcome. God help you if you ever pray for patience. Please, warning, do not just have patience. Don't pray for help with patience. It's a mistake. It's horrible. But seek and ye shall find. All right. So that is all for tonight. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. It did go on a while. I'm sorry. It's like an hour and 45 minutes, but maybe that's good. Maybe you can play some of it while you are in the shower, and then while you're driving, and then, coffee, and then come back a little later. Who knows? Maybe you'll watch it all in one sitting. Whatever floats your boat. All right, you all. Much love, much gratitude, and I will see y'all tomorrow for, let's see, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. So it'll be our weekly alchemy message. And this is where we unpack our approach to the work of the week. All right. Until then, peace be with you. Ciao.